A Ukrainian reconnaissance group spotted an enemy soldier walking along a trench. The operator kept an eye on him, and he didn't even realize he was being watched and just kept walking. But as he walked along the trench, a Ukrainian group came out in front of him to intercept the enemy soldier. There, he decided to throw a grenade, then threw another one, but he couldn't hurt anyone. And the Ukrainian soldier simply walked away. Then the operator took up a position directly above this enemy soldier, first just watching him. Then the enemy soldier started running, and the operator fired from the drone. It wasn't very accurate, but it hit the enemy soldier a little. Then the enemy soldier realized that it was dangerous to stay there and decided to flee the trench. First, he climbed out of it and then began to run. But at some point he changed his mind because the Ukrainian infantry began to fire at him, and now he began to run back into the trench. Then he just lies in the trench and helps himself, after which he gets up and limps along the trench because he is already wounded. After walking a short distance, he just lies down on the ground and stays there. After a while, his comrade approaches him, and they discuss something, possibly calling for help. Then another enemy soldier began to approach them, and they just start walking back and forth, not understanding what is happening. The drone continues flying and stops near the soldiers lying on the ground, but as soon as one of the enemy soldiers notices the drone, he gets up and starts running, and the operator takes aim at the other enemy soldier and strikes him. The Ukrainian operator raises the camera higher and notices a lone enemy soldier crawling across an open field. He stops, then moves forward again, trying to remain inconspicuous. Perhaps he is wounded. Perhaps he thinks that this way he will not be noticed, but the operator sees him. The operator watches closely for a few seconds, then decides to act. The FPV locks onto the target, and just as the soldier tries to roll sharply to the side, a charge falls from the sky. The explosion engulfs him, leaving him no chance. Now this enemy soldier will no longer be able to reach his positions and harm Ukrainian soldiers. The drone continues to search for new targets. Ukrainian operators spot an enemy group trying to advance toward our positions. Drones show them moving cautiously, constantly looking around, discussing something among themselves, and trying to hide behind trees. Their behavior betrays their intense nervousness, as if they suspect they are being watched but cannot figure out from where. The operator closely monitors their movements, waits a few minutes, and then decides to strike. The first accurate strike sends the entire group into a panic. They abandon their positions and start running in different directions. However, the operator continues his work. One more strike and some of the soldiers will no longer be able to harm the Ukrainians. Those who remain try to escape chaotically. Some hide in the bushes, others run at random, but the operator keeps them in his sights. One of the soldiers begins to flee desperately in the direction of his comrades. But as soon as he runs out into the open field, the drone strikes and he falls to the ground. Meanwhile, two more enemies scatter in different directions. One remains in the thick bushes trying to wait it out, while the other moves in the other direction. The Ukrainian drone strikes again, and at that moment the operator notices one of the soldiers who is running in the other direction. Now he jumps out into the open field and tries to escape. He runs without stopping, only occasionally looking back over his shoulder, realizing that it is impossible to escape the drone. The operator is in no hurry. He allows the enemy to run a little further. The enemy soldier continues to run, and the operator simply watches, then strikes. The shell explodes right next to the soldier. He falls, lies motionless for a while, but then, despite his injuries, tries to get up and runs again. His movements become uncertain. He looks back. The operator simply observes. The enemy no longer poses a real threat. The soldier runs a few more meters, then slows down to a walk, barely staying on his feet, and finally moves away toward his positions. Exhausted and wounded, he can no longer return to battle. Ukrainian operators spotted two enemy soldiers standing near some bushes and discussing something. They seemed nervous, listening intently to every sound. The soldiers then began moving along the forest edge, trying to stay close to the greenery to remain less visible. But the operators did not take their eyes off them. The drone tracked their every move. Eventually, the enemies ventured deeper into the forest, probably thinking that the dense trees would provide reliable cover. But that was when the operator decided to act and strike, and the enemy soldiers fell to the ground. A short time later, the operator struck again. Now both enemies were on the ground, wounded and disoriented. The enemy group suddenly runs out of the forest and into an open field. Several soldiers can be seen walking ahead while the rest lag behind slightly, but try to keep in formation. They move nervously, often looking back, but continue to advance. Ukrainian operators closely follow their every step, waiting for the most opportune moment. And then, at the right moment, the operator strikes those walking at the front of the column. One of the enemy soldiers falls to the ground. He writhes in pain, tries to get up, but cannot. Finally, gathering his last strength, he manages to get up and begins to retreat. At the same time, the soldier who was moving first seems not to notice what is happening behind him and simply continues forward. His comrade suddenly runs up to him, and the rest of the group begins to retreat in panic toward the bushes. Some stop near the greenery, trying to hide, but to no avail. One of them leads his wounded comrade back. The soldiers who remain near the bushes look confused. They rush about, walk from side to side, look around, and do not understand what to do next. However, the Ukrainian cameramen do not give them time to think. The cameraman fires a shot, and now they are confused. The enemies begin to panic. Some abandon everything and attempt to flee, while others hide in the thickets, but there is nothing they can do. The group loses all coordination and descends into chaos. The Ukrainian operators calmly complete the operation, stopping the assault at its very beginning. Ukrainian operators spotted enemy transport, which initially moves cautiously along the bushes, trying to remain unnoticed. But in a moment, the vehicle drives out into an open field and heads straight for Ukrainian positions. Drones closely follow it, tracking its every move. Suddenly, the vehicle hits anti-tank weapons. A loud explosion forces them to stop, and troops begin to jump out. The soldiers quickly scatter across the field, trying to find cover among the sparse bushes. But the vehicle continues to roll forward, albeit only by inertia, slowly slowing down. The troops continue to exit the vehicle, and 9 enemies manage to jump out, some of them wounded. Some are lying on the ground, others try to hide and save their comrades. The transport comes to a complete stop, the troops scattered across the field. The attempt to break through has ended in complete failure. Ukrainian operators continue to observe, monitoring the situation and ensuring the safety of their positions.